Hello and welcome back to the Luminous Body podcast, Healing from Within. I'm your co-host, Dr. Hilary Conroy, and I'm joined by my husband, Dr. Jackson Waring. This podcast was created to share information about health and healing and to empower you with your healing journey. So, on with the show. Let's get started.
All right, let's jump right in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the impacts of high cortisol on the different systems of the body.
Yeah, which is like extremely exciting because there's so much to know about it.
Yeah.
And it makes life make so much more sense.
It does. And when we say the impacts of cortisol, we mean the impacts of chronic stress on the system.
That's right.
That's it. And so if any of these apply to you, if you have anything going on in your body, it is highly likely that chronic stress or high cortisol has something to do with the symptoms, with the disease process, or whatever's going on for you. Even just your mental outlook can be affected by cortisol.
Like everything.
And we are about to learn just how that happens.
All right, let's jump in.
Okay, so we're going to cover 4 systems today. Mm-hmm. The immune system, the metabolic system, the cardiovascular system, and cognitive and mental health.
Yeah, this is really exciting.
Like the brain. Basically.
Yeah, the brain. the first one, the immune system.
Yeah, the immune.
Yeah, it's really important, right? Because we need our immune system.
Yes.
We come into contact with lots of little buggies, germs, viruses, bacteria, you name it, all the time. Mm. And our immune system is what we rely on to stay healthy.
That's right. And you would know about this because when you've been under a lot of stress or when you haven't been sleeping that well for a long period of time or something's going on, we get sick. We get a cold. We catch a cold or we get unwell or we have IBS symptoms blow up or, you know, it's a common experience that people who are under a lot of stress experience a poor immune system.
Yeah, getting sick all the time.
Yeah. The research tells us that we are twice as likely to contract a virus if we have high cortisol or chronic stress. Mm-hmm. It also says that with the impact of ongoing chronic stress is that we won't have the resilience in our immune system to be able to handle a different bacteria or a different virus or a different fungus that's around.
Yeah, well, and that's also because cortisol literally suppresses the immune system.
That's exactly right.
And what that means is it suppresses your body's ability to produce things called T cells that fight infections. Yeah. It reduces the body's ability to create antibodies to fight viruses.
That's right. And antibodies are just so essential for like so many protective mechanisms, including cancer as well. And even like a detox. Like antibodies are cells that our immune system makes, like a bespoke cell. So the immune system will like sample different things that aren't supposed to be there, like a bacteria or something, and it will design a cell that can kill that bacteria.
The antibody,
it's incredible. Like it's that kind of
highly intelligent.
Intelligence is just amazing. But chronic stress will actually greatly impact the immune system's ability to do that.
To do its job.
Yeah.
The other thing about chronic stress, which just seems on the flip side of what we're talking about, right? So it reduces inflammation, reduces our body's ability to respond.
Yeah.
Is it actually, after a while, increases systemic inflammation?
Yes, exactly. Because look, when you have acute stress, so let's say real random, but you're attacked by something and you get injured. The cortisol is supposed to suppress your immune system for a reason because you want to focus on running away or fighting back rather than a broken rib or a gash on your arm or something like that. So we don't need we don't need the immune system to be active at that point. We don't need it. We need to be running or fighting.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Survival.
Exactly. Yeah. And then obviously, you know, after the event's over and you survive and everything and the cortisol goes down, then the immune system comes up and it's like, right, let's repair.
Yeah.
But with chronic cortisol and chronic stress, you end up with this ongoing suppression.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just doing it what it's designed to do. But it has these these implications that are quite dramatic.
And systemic inflammation often can trigger autoimmune responses.
Yeah. Autoimmune response, it makes us more susceptible to cancers and metastases. I mean, it goes on. Systemic inflammation goes on and on. Like they're the scary ones, but just like brain fog. It affects your ability to concentrate.
Yeah, totally.
It's just like that, and that will greatly impact your productivity, your self-fulfillment, all that kind of stuff in your life too.
Far-reaching. So that's immune system. So
that's just the immune.
Number one.
And I think it's also like, I just want to make this a little bit more relevant too. Like I see this a lot in people who get sick all the time.
Yeah.
But also they get sick, they get better, but they don't get fully better.
Yes.
They still got a cough, or they get a chronic
Lingering.
cough, or they're always, sort of always snotty or dipping in and out, feeling run down. Yeah. I feel like you can feel the effect of cortisol in your immune system because you feel run down.
Or you pick up one thing after the other.
Yeah, that's right.
You're like, I had COVID 2 months ago, and then a month ago I got influenza A, and now I've got bronchitis.
Yeah.
Like the body is just struggling.
Yeah.
It's like anything that comes, it has an opportunity to take over.
Yeah.
Purely because we just do not have our facilities.
Yeah, defenses are weakened by high cortisol.
Yeah.
Okay, so immune system is one thing. And then we move on to the metabolic system. When we talk about metabolic system, we're talking about metabolism, respiration. So basically taking in the food, using it for energy.
That's right.
And the balance of that in the body. So when we talk about metabolism, one of the biggest signs, one of the main signs that your cortisol is high is that you gain weight for no reason half the time.
Usually around your midsection as well.
And in your abdomen.
Because the kind of weight you gain is the visceral fat kind.
Yeah, that's it.
And
so, research has showed us that you have an 11% increase in visceral fat if you have chronic stress.
Yeah.
And that, for anyone who's done any like weight training, bodybuilding, body recomposition, anything to kind of get your metabolism on track or just to increase your health in that way, will know that an 11% increase in visceral fat is just extraordinary.
Yeah.
Like it's just huge.
Yeah.
And that's due to cortisol.
That's right. And visceral fat, it's metabolically active. So it's kind of.
It will cause inflammation.
Yeah.
It will produce, hormones and cells that will make that whole situation a lot worse.
Yeah.
The other thing, and that's something that comes up in the clinic a fair bit. I've gained this weight. I can't get rid of it. And it's all around my midsection and it's really tough. And it's like, that's high cortisol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before we talk about the other thing.
The other thing,
I know, because I just got really excited because we're talking about weight gain. And this kind of weight gain in particular is tricky, right? The other thing about your metabolism when it's influenced by high levels of cortisol is it changes your body's response to hunger hormones and how and what you're producing.
And this is a blind spot.
Yeah. Because
when we're stress eating, we're not really paying attention to what we're eating.
No.
Because we're stress eating as a comfort, not even an emotional or mental comfort, but the body's looking for endorphins to counteract the cortisol.
Well, and it's also looking for sugar because cortisol demands more and more sugar.
Exactly.
And so this reminds me of parasites as well because parasites have a similar effect.
So
but
true.
When you have high cortisol, you have an increase of the hunger hormone called ghrelin.
Yep.
And that means that you're much more hungry.
Yep.
Now, not only are you much more hungry, but you're going to seek foods that are calorie dense. You're going to seek foods that are going to spike your blood sugar.
So high sugar foods.
High sugar, high fat foods.
High fat, junk.
Which would be all well and good if we ate some and thought, satisfied. That was incredible. I feel amazing. But no, what cortisol also does is it alters our sensitivity to another hormone called leptin.
Yep.
And leptin is the satiety hormone. It's the hormone that says, hey, we're done. It's your stop hormone. I'm done. Yeah. We don't need any more of that. We've got everything we need. Let's just work with what we've got. No, you don't have that. No. And so you're craving foods that you wouldn't usually crave. And then you hardly even know you've eaten them. Yeah. So you just keep going. Yeah, that's it. So that's a metabolic issue. And it also plays into what we were talking about
last time about the blood sugar imbalance.
Yeah.
So this can be then a vicious cycle. So because you have all those changes in the appetite hormones, and you have poor appetite control and things like that, and you get a spike in blood sugar due to high cortisol, and then the spike in blood sugar causes more cortisol release, and it can just keep self-fulfilling that way.
That's right. And this is where we end up with insulin resistance,
Yes.
which means even if your body produces insulin, the receptors don't
Take it in.
take it in, which means your tissues don't actually get the sugar they need.
That's right.
So you end up with insulin resistance, which we know is the precursor to type 2 diabetes.
That's right.
And then there's a wealth of things that happen with type 2 diabetes.
That's right. And chronic stress increases the risk of type 2 diabetes.
By about 45%.
Yeah, exactly. A huge amount. Like that is a huge driving factor.
Yeah.
And it also explains why diabetes is such a chronic lifestyle disease. I think it's like 1 in 2 adults in America suffer from diabetes type 2.
You can't just blame type 2 diabetes on diet alone.
No, you have to also
convenient, but
chronic
it's
stress.
Yes, exactly. It's hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, we live in a really stressful world.
I think so.
Very, very devoid of connection, devoid of nature, devoid of the things that actually help to balance out cortisol.
Exactly, because when we go through that in the episode where we go through how to help your cortisol levels, you realize that we've sort of designed this world that really is conducive to chronic stress.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Yeah, it's sad.
I get sad about it.
It is sad. I get sad about it too, but that's why I love this information, because it comes in and you're like, oh, well, I could go for a 20-minute walk in nature.
Yeah.
And my cortisol levels are going to drop by 30%. Well, that's helpful.
Yeah, that does. That makes a big difference.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's awesome about the metabolic system.
Yeah.
It's a great lens to look at your metabolic system through. How is my stress affecting my metabolism?
Yeah. It's not just willpower. I'm so tired of that.
Like, I think willpower is like the 5%er.
Yes.
Like, yeah, good, you got willpower. You can make a decision between an apple and a packet of chips. But if you've got like cortisol through the roof, you didn't sleep last night, you've got this horrible anxiety about some deadline or some marriage problem or something.
Yeah.
You're just going to dive into the chippies. The 5% doesn't matter. You cannot shame and judge the crap out of yourself when there is a physiological reason why you're making these decisions.
Exactly.
And that's what we want to shine the light on. We want to take that out of your system, because guess what drives up cortisol? Shame, judgment, self-criticism.
Yeah. Also, chippies are hard to resist on a good day.
Yeah. Hillary is a chipaholic.
Can confirm. Yeah, there's often
Chippies.
rustling in the clinic. Usually me.
There's always a pack of chips.
It's always just my comfort food, my general food.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you didn't have any willpower, you would just.
That's all I would eat. Yeah, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So let's move on to the way chronic stress impacts the cardiovascular system.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this in one of our earlier episodes, how the cardiovascular diseases are one of the leading causes of death in the world at the moment, which is absolutely tragic, because the main reason we have them is because of lifestyle diseases. So there's lifestyle factors. So there's a lot of things that we can do to change them if we just know more about it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how chronic stress actually causes cardiovascular issues.
Yes. And one of the main ways it causes cardiovascular issues is it drives up hypertension by up to 50%.
Yeah, and hypertension for everyone is high blood pressure.
Yes. High blood pressure.
Yeah.
And it does this by encouraging the body to hold on to salt.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about salt and water is attracted to salt.
That's right.
And so if you have a body that has higher salt contents, which the kidney decides. The kidney's like, are we keeping the salt or are we getting rid of the salt?
Yeah.
The kidneys, under high stress, they'll keep the salt.
Yeah.
And so with extra salt in the body, we also hold extra water, which increases our blood pressure.
That's right.
Yeah, because we have more fluid running through our body.
Yeah, we just have higher volume of water inside our vessels.
Yeah.
Which means we have higher pressure.
It's like turning the tap on high.
Yeah, so the total resistance of the body is higher.
That's
so therefore
right.
our blood pressure will go up.
Yeah.
That's right.
And this hypertension is what can lead to things like strokes.
Yes, exactly.
And heart attacks.
Yeah, heart disease and all that. Yeah, and I think that's really interesting. One of the drivers behind the kidney making those decisions around salt and water comes from the fact that when we produce stress hormones in that hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the hypothalamus basically says to the pituitary, activate the adrenals, we need more stress hormones, right? But the hormone that the hypothalamus uses to tell the pituitary to tell the adrenals to secrete more hormones, at the same time it secretes that hormone, it secretes another hormone that goes to the kidneys to tell it to retain salt and water.
Yeah.
So
and it's convenient that the adrenals sit on the kidneys.
Yeah. It's like, it's almost like a byproduct of stress is high blood pressure.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like hormonally you cannot escape that. Yeah. So if you have high blood pressure, chronic stress has an impact on that. It has to have a chronic stress component to that.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing about the cardiovascular system that I found really interesting when researching was the impact that cortisol and chronic stress has on cholesterol.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes, woo! Cortisol will drive up cholesterol. It will increase cholesterol in your body.
Well, and not just all cholesterol. So cortisol drives up LDLs.
Yes.
So the bad cholesterol.
Yes.
And it drives up triglycerides.
Yes.
Yes. And that kind of cholesterol can harden arteries.
That's right. Well, I think what I find really interesting about the low density ones, well, I guess, we'll probably need to talk about cholesterol a lot more, which we might cover in another episode. But with the triglycerides, if you have high density lipids and low density lipids, they kind of regulate each other.
Yes.
So high density lipids will take the low density ones to the liver will break them down, which is great. You need those fats, right, for other things. But if that ratio is out.
Yeah, it's the ratio.
Yeah, so if the cortisol drives the low density up, you have a lot of circulating sticky fat in your blood, essentially. And yeah, if you have any inflammation in your arteries or your arteries are a bit stiff, then it can stick really easily.
Yes.
And then you can form plaques and all sorts of things that, cause artery disease and heart attacks. Things like that. So yeah, those LDLs, we want to watch those.
Yeah. Because
also those LDLs, they come from those high calorie, low nutritious foods as well. The chippies. But
really important, so important to say that cholesterol is not bad.
Look, I want to take the stigma out of cholesterol. We need cholesterol.
Absolutely pivotal to good health.
We need the type of cholesterol that helps our hormones.
We need the balance of cholesterol.
That's right. We need the balance of high and low density lipids. It's not about getting rid of cortisol, and it never was, and it just can't be. So we will go deeper into that. But for now, cholesterol is not a bad word.
It's not bad. Every single cell in your body, its membrane is formed by cholesterol. We literally need cholesterol to survive.
It's so important.
Yeah.
It's just like water and oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would literally crumble without it.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes. So let's chat about the effect of chronic stress and cortisol on our cognition and mental health.
I was blown away when I really, truly understood the actual physical changes to your brain under chronic stress, high cortisol. Your brain atrophies in certain places.
It shrinks.
I just want to ask you guys a question. Who's been in a stressful time of life? Like, for example, for me, when I was going through masters and, I was trying to manage the loss of a loved one and, we were going through Jackson's transition, like there was like a lot of stress happening for me. I found during that time, I could not remember a single password.
That's it.
I couldn't remember my phone number at times.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, I'm actually insane. Yeah. Yes. I couldn't remember names. My memory was absolutely shot. And how many of you, when you're stressed, forget that kind of stuff? Like, oh my gosh.
And it's so scary.
Is there something wrong with me? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so scary. Like, what did I just do? Like, repeating sentences. That's what happens to me when I'm under a lot of high cortisol and it's affecting my brain. I just repeat myself.
Yeah, and guys, this is wild. High cortisol actually shrinks your hippocampus, which is the part of your brain that stores memories.
Yeah, and learns. Yeah, so chronic stress really impacts your ability to learn. And especially in kids as well. And we'll probably get into that another time.
Yeah.
But no, increased cortisol and chronic stress, shrinks the hippocampus, which is responsible for memory and learning. It's also responsible for emotional processing as well, which is ironic because chronic stress, you need to emotionally process. to bring down your stress.
That's right.
But the hippocampus, if it's affected.
And emotionally regulate. So it's not only the hippocampus.
No.
It's also the part of the brain, the frontal cortex, the prefrontal cortex, that is the reasonable, rational part of the brain that allows us to understand our situation and to take some level of emotionality out of it so that we can respond appropriately.
Well, interestingly, that is the area that degrades first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you lose your ability to cope.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you're just like stuck with a brain.
Well, I think it's our brain is trying to manage. So because the stress is a perception as well, right?
Yeah.
And then we have these physiological things that change. And essentially what's happening is those areas of the brain that are for processing, they get underused. That's why they shrink.
Yeah.
And so what the brain's actually doing is it's trying to shunt all of its energy and all of its work into the part of the brain that deals with stress, like the amygdala, the emotional limbic system. But what can happen is that can just end up getting more activated and almost like circulating or looping.
With no check.
Yeah. And so your mental health in those conditions, you end up with very low resilience to stress, easily triggered, very poor regulation.
Yep.
And then we see things like anxiety disorders. Then we see things like depression. In fact, high cortisol chronic stress raises the risk of depression by 80%. Oh. And that is a massive stat. So if you have depression, chronically high cortisol and chronic stress has got to be a factor in that.
It has to be. And the reason it is such a trigger for depression is because it alters our body's ability to manage and produce serotonin and dopamine.
That's right.
It actually changes your neurotransmitters.
It changes them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cognition and memory it's essential that we look to things that are causing cortisol to go up in our bodies because it will be affecting these parts of the brain. The brain is so sensitive to cortisol. And if it gets saturated, like see people who just are so vague and like feel the brain fog is so real. You know, it's true brain inflammation. The ability to recall, to learn just goes out the window and then things like productivity fails. And that only drives up stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what's really a common theme with the way that chronic stress impacts the body is that it ends up being a cycle. In almost every single system, we get a little bit stuck in a loop, which is why learning about how to manage and lower your cortisol is just life-changing.
Yeah, and it will be one of the single most important thing
I would say so
is how to manage your chronic stress.
Yeah, and that actually, you can manage it.
You can manage it.
You're not responsible for all of your life circumstances.
That's right. And we are going to teach you how.
Yes.
We're going to take you through that in a way that is non-judgmental, not shamey, in a way that allows you to engage with your unique stress. Because I think one of the biggest things that shuts people down from dealing with chronic stress is comparison.
Totally.
You know, oh, well, that person seems to be handling it well and that person wouldn't. And if this person was going through it, well, they would do this. They'd be much better at it. Or at least I'm not in some third world country dealing with this. That's all that does serve you. All that does to serve you is to keep you in a suppressed state and to maintain chronic stress.
That's right.
Yeah. So we're going to break through some of those barriers.
Yeah. A few more important points to get through and then it's go time.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you're feeling inspired, please leave us a review. It would mean a lot to us. Did this episode resonate with you? Tell us all about it by reaching out to us on our socials. Or if you know someone who might benefit from hearing about this podcast, please share it with them. Like this, subscribe to us, and until next time, happy healing.